Welcome back to the podcast, my beautiful listeners. Well, today I am truly excited to share something truly special with you. This is not just another episode, but it's the beginning of a new chapter in my journey. And it's also a new beginning in this podcast journey. Today, I am announcing the transition of the Midlife Empress podcast to what will be known as the Midlife Grace podcast. This is a decision that I've really been truly praying about for a while. And I truly feel that God has led me to this new path, one that I will bless not only my life, but also yours. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and join me as I share how God brought me here and what this change means, and all the exciting things that are coming and that you can expect as we are going forward in this podcast. Jeremiah 29:11 tells us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you," right? Plans to give you hope and a future. You know, um, I just want to take a moment to reflect on everything that the Midlife Empress brand has been for so long, right? It's been a platform to empower women as they navigate through the changes and the joys of midlife, from menopause to weight loss to rediscovering their passion, their purpose. The heart of the podcast has always been about becoming the best of yourself, right? The empress of your life, taking back the powerful control that you once had, making you feel like the you once were. Because as we're going through this midlife menopause, we truly start to think that and feel that we've lost ourselves, right? So this is about taking back power, owning your worth. That's what the midlife empress is all about: being bold, being confident. But as I start to continue on the journey of starting, something started stirring in my heart. But as I continued on this journey, something started to stir in my heart. I kept feeling a nudge, a whisper telling me that while we're out here claiming our power, there's also a need for more grace, right? Because grace for ourselves, grace for our transition, grace for what we are going through in midlife and menopause, grace for everything. Most importantly, the grace of God guiding us through all these changes that are happening. 2 Corinthians 12:9 tells us, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in the weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." Wow. Now, let me tell you about the divine inspiration behind the transition. So, over the past few months, I felt God really speaking to me in new, powerful ways. As I started to realize my personal journey and all this, my experiences, my mission, where we are evolving. Every time I prayed, I found myself asking God, "What's next, Lord? What do you want? What do you desire for me? What do you desire for, you know, this mission that I'm on? What do you desire for what is it? What is the desire? Well, use me, Lord. What? Just let me know what. And I found that, as I'm asking all this, I'm saying, how can I serve these incredible women in a way that's aligned with you, Lord, and where you want me to go? And every single time I felt that whisper, that same word to me, grace, grace. Grace has shown up in every area of my life. Grace for the mistakes I've made, grace to accept the changes that midlife and menopause has brought, and most importantly, the grace to trust his plan for me, the grace to trust his plan even when it doesn't always make sense. So, through the countless prayers, scriptures, moments of quiet reflections, I realized that this podcast needed to reflect all of this. And I needed it to become a place for not just empowerment, but for healing, for growth, and for faith. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not onto your understanding in all of him, but submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. So, very powerful scripture for me. So, what does the Midlife Grace podcast really stand for? Well, it's still about all the things that deeply matter to us as we're going through midlife. You know, um, we got to get through it with confidence. We have to overcome the challenges of menopause. We have to take back control of our bodies, but our minds also. But, now it's not all about just doing all of this, but it's about doing all of this through the lens of God's grace. It's all about learning how to walk in faith and trusting that God is going to get us through every twist, every turn, right? Because midlife brings a lot of twists and turns. It's really truly a roller coaster ride, and we know this. And offering ourselves the same grace that he offers us every day with the changes that's happening, I want to remind you, it's okay not to have it all together. We are not supposed to have it all together, and that's okay. So we all work. We are all truly working daily, and we are a work in progress. And that's where the grace steps in. Whether you are struggling with your health, whether you're struggling with your mindset, whether you're struggling with relationships, whether you're feeling lost in the season. The season of life it's not easy, especially these days. And sometimes we just feel lost in this season. There's a grace for you. And that's what this podcast is here for, to remind you that God is with you. He loves you. He has a plan for you. And even in the messiness of midlife, he comes through all the time. 1 Corinthians 15:10 tells us, but by the grace of God, I am what I am. And his grace to me was not without effect. So, what can you expect from the midlife grace? Well, we're still going to talk about all the topics that are close to our hearts: our health, our beauty, our fitness, our mindset, menopause, and we're also going to dive deeper. Okay. We're going to dive deeper into our faith-based conversations and how we trust in God with our futures, right? We have to trust in Him. We're going to find peace in the uncertainty that's happening today and embracing the grace that He freely gives us. We are so blessed by His grace. We're going to be sharing so much of this. And we're going to be sharing so much more of my personal journey with faith and inspiring women to share their testimonies here and offering, some of the most practical, spirit-filled advice on how to navigate through this season with grace, strength, confidence, perseverance, boldness, just like He wants us to. Together, we're going to learn how to let go of perfection. Start to embrace the beauty that God has a plan for our lives, right? His beauty. He has it all planned out for us. What He has for us is bigger than we can ever imagine. Sometimes we just have to surrender to that and leave Him in control. Lots of times, it's the flesh. It's the flesh. We try to take control of everything. Well, we got to step back. We got to surrender it all to Him. Our lives are already orchestrated. He has already had this life planned out for us. So we got to let go and let God, right? And the scripture tells us that all things work out for the good of Him. So I am looking forward to being on this new journey with you. This is just the beginning of the Midlife Grace podcast. There is so much to come in this podcast. And I am super excited to begin this new journey with you, to begin this fresh new season. It's just something about fresh new seasons, right? You know how you feel when you say, oh, well, when fall comes, I like to call it football weather. I don't know about you, but when fall comes, I'm like, okay, this is football weather. This feels so good, right? It's such a different feeling. It's such a different internal feeling. So you have to know that in these beginnings of this new growth, that feeling that you get when you say, oh, it's fall, it's football weather, it's exciting. So this is just a new exciting season. Okay. And I want to share with you that this is the start of it all. This is the beginning of a new season. And it's filled with love, joy, peace, grace, and everything that He has to offer for us. I'm super excited to continue on this journey with you and super excited to bring you the all new Midlife Grace podcast. And I want to say thank you to our listeners who tune in on a weekly basis. Thank you to all who tune in, but thank you so much to all who tune in weekly. And please, if you enjoy this podcast, download, like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. When you do all these beautiful things, this is what helps other women to find us. We are all in this journey together. And it's by the grace of God that we get through it. And I'm super excited to jump on the first episode with you into the Midlife Grace podcast. Thank you so very much. God bless you. And until next time, bye for now.